guys, Sarah here, and welcome to my yarn lab. I just wanted to take a chance to quickly show you the results of a couple of natural dyeing experiments that I did a couple weeks ago. If you look in the description below, you'll find links to 2 blog posts over on my blog yarnlab.ca with all of the step-by-step details on how I achieved the colors in these 8 skeins. But I'm just going to go through them quickly right now, and it was really exciting. So the first set of skeins that I dyed, I did with yellow onion skins. I just collected onion skins from the onions that we used over the past couple of months in a paper bag in the kitchen, and then I got tired of waiting for that to get to a big enough amount, so a couple trips to the grocery store I kind of scoured the onion bin for loose skins, and they had no problem. Like when I got to the cache, I just had them in a bag, letting you take a bag of onion skins. It's not like you're like peeling them off onions, just take the loose ones from the bin. And I had a very large pile of onion skins, but it still only weighed out to be about 100 grams of onion skins, like the dry papery outside skins, from yellow onions, and there was 1 red onion in there. I don't think that that's enough to really shift the colors. Apparently red and yellow onions will give slightly different hues. But I had 100 grams of onion skins, and I wanted to use it to dye 400 grams of fiber. The fiber that I used was a sock yarn, 75% wool, 25% nylon. The wool was superwash treated. And here are my results. Well, I guess I should tell you what I did with the onion skins was throw them in a pot on the stove with just enough water to cover them. It was about 3.5 liters of water. I brought that up to a boil, just below a boil, and then turned the heat down and let it simmer for about an hour on the stove, and then removed it from heat and let it sit overnight as it cooled off. And then 24 hours later, I strained out the onion skins, and then that liquid is what I used as my dye stock. Again, link in the description below to the blog post with all of the details spelled out for you. So, onion skins can dye yarn by themselves, and so the first skein that I'm going to show you is the color that I got from unmordanted yarn by itself. And I would recommend you go over to the blog. This is showing up more yellow on the camera. In real life, it's a bit more accurate right here where it's washed out. In real life, it's more of a peachy color, but with a 25% weight per volume, so 25% as in like 100 grams onions to 400 grams fiber, I did get a very strong color with no mordants. So you can just boil your onions, well, don't boil, simmer your onions for an hour, and you can get a really great color on yarn with nothing else, nothing really toxic, super easy and awesome, and a good solid color. So then, from that same pot with no pre-mordant, so I hadn't added anything beforehand, I had 2 skeins in, so 2 that dyed this color. This one I rinsed and washed, and the second skein I did what is called a iron afterbath. So iron is a mordant that you can use, and from reading online it said that it saddens colors, and it can give you a different shade or a darker color. So what I did was, my bath was still hot, I pulled out this skein and rinsed it off in the sink. I pulled out the second skein and held it just above the water, and into my bath I added a teaspoon of an iron oxide powder. Links in the description below to that blog post where I ordered everything, and then quickly resubmerged my skein that I had pulled out, and immediately you got a color change to what is a really lovely chocolate brown. Again, the colors are more accurate in the pictures on the blog post. From what I read about doing the iron afterbath is what I saw was that the change happens pretty much instantly, and it will darken the longer you leave it. So this I pulled out of the bath in about 1 minute after I introduced it with the iron. So when you're doing the iron after bath, I guess you want to watch until you get the color that you want and then pull your skein out. And like, it's a really beautiful chocolatey brown with like a slight green undertone to it. Like, it's a brown that's coming from a green family, not a brown that's coming from like a red or a red family. So it's sort of like, it's not green at all, but you know, it's got that sort of cast to it. So those were the first two skeins that I did, and again, these were not pre-treated in any way. This one just went into the bath with the onion dye in it, and this one was originally this color and then had that iron after bath in the same dye pot. My other two skeins I pre-treated with alum. So aluminum sulfate is a very common mordant for natural dye stuffs. It's relatively non-toxic. I think that it's actually an additive in some foods. So alum, and in order to pre-treat with alum, you just soak your skeins in water, put them into your bath with, I think it was about 2 teaspoons of alum per 100 grams of fiber. Again, that information in the blog post link below. Bring it up to simmer for about an hour, let it sit in that pot and cool overnight, and then I dyed it the next day. So this skein here is the skein that was pre-treated with the alum and then dyed in the onion bath. And that's that same, put it in the onion bath, bring it up to heat, simmer for an hour. And so you can totally see that this one here is much more vibrant and yellow, whereas this one, which is showing a lot more true to color now with this one in the screen, I guess the camera is adjusting for this. So with the alum pre-treatment, you got a really beautiful golden yellow from the onion skin bath. And then again, for my fourth skein, there were 2 of these skeins in the bath. This one I took out after it simmered for an hour and rinsed it off. And then the second one I pulled out of the bath and added in my iron oxide. This time I didn't want to go overboard. Less is more. You can always add more iron oxide into the bath and darken your colors, but you can't take it out once that chemical reaction has happened. So this time I only went with 1/4 teaspoon of the iron oxide, which shifted or sat in my color from this to this greeny brown that's a little bit blown out. I'll bring it closer to the camera. And so again, it went to the brown, but you can definitely see that this is a greeny or yellowy brown in comparison to the no alum pre-treatment. Anyway, so from the onion skins, I was really incredibly impressed, guys, that I was able to get such four distinct colors from an onion skin bath. So here are my 4 skeins that I got from the onion skin dyeing experiment. It has its own post linked in the description below for all the details and better pictures where I have adjusted the filtering and the light in order to try and match the in real life colors of these skeins. So the next kitchen grocery item that I found online that would dye yarn was avocado skins and pits. So again, we collected all of our avocado skins and pits in the kitchen for the last 2 months until I had 15. Apparently, if you dye with the skins separate and the pits separate, you'll get slightly different shades, but in the name of wanting to have the largest volume of dye stuffs, I just pulled everything together. I will say what you see as a recommendation is for vibrant colors with natural dyeing, you want to have an equal weight of dye stuff to fiber, although with the onion skins at having 1/4 as much dye stuff to the fiber, I still got really great colors. So I didn't weigh my avocado skins and pits. In retrospect, I absolutely should have, but I used 15 skins, 15 pits. The skins I just threw into the pot. The pits I actually ran through my food processor to chop them up a bit. You could chop them with a knife, obviously, but that would be a big pain in the butt. in order to increase the surface area so that more dye potentially would extract from those pits. Since, you know, if you leave them in solid, the dye's going to have a harder time obviously getting out from the center. So to increase the surface area, I did chop up my pits. And the same as the onion stock, put that pot on the stove in about 3 liters of water, 3.5 liters of water, brought it up to just below a boil. You don't want to like do a rolling boil for some of these dye things. I'm not the expert, but I have, in reading online and in some books that I have, found information that some things you'll get different colors if you were to boil the dye out versus if you just heat the dye out. You can also apparently just put it in water and let it sit for a heck of a long time, but I ain't got time for that. So, avocado pits and skins in the pot, 3.5 liters of water, brought it up to just under a boil, let it simmer for about an hour, and then removed it from heat, put the lid on the pot, and let it just cool and sit and do its thing for 24 hours until the next evening when I was ready to dye. And this will get a bit repetitive, but again, I did the same 4 treatments to my yarn. So first up is no treatment whatsoever. I just pre-soaked my yarn in water and then put it into my dye bath. And what I got was a really lovely blush color. I don't have any bare skeins. If you'll bear with me, I'm not going to edit this video, so I'm just going to grab a bare skein from right over here. So, I mean, you can totally see the amount of color. This is the exact same skein bare. The amount of this really lovely sort of blush pink color that just avocado skins and pits give by themselves. And shocking. I mean, I knew that was what I would expect because I did the research online first, but you wouldn't think that such a green, like potently green fruit or would give you such a beautiful pink color. So that was skein number 1. No pre-treatment, just an hour in the avocado dye bath. And then the same thing as with the onion skins, the second skein from that bath I pulled and I did the the iron oxide after bath. So I pulled the skein out, I put in, again, less is more I decided, and I did 1/4 teaspoon of the iron oxide, and that changed this beautiful blushy pink color to this lovely, like I adore this color. It's coming out more gray on the camera. Again, go to the blog post for the better picture. You can kind of, it's a bit more true to life here. It's like a steely purple color. It's absolutely gorgeous. I am for sure gonna have to collect up enough avocado skins to dye a sweater worth of this color because it's stunning. And it did not exhaust the dye bath. So when people do natural dyeing, they do, here's my first dip, and I get skeins of 1 level of intensity, and then may as well throw some extra yarn in for the second time around. I didn't do that with the onion skins, mainly because I don't have enough yarn on hand to be doing exhausting the bath right down to nothing. But this one came out, and just from looking at the bath, there was a lot of color left in it, so bear with me for half a second here. I ran down to the basement and grabbed a skein of 100% merino. This is DK weight, it's 100 grams. No pre-treatment. I put this in like a dry skein, not even pre-soaked, into that bath, and got, it is a bit lighter, but got a beautiful silvery, it's like a silver color, but with a purple undertone to it. And probably could have gone in with another skein after and gotten an even lighter one, but again, just didn't have sufficient yarn to do that. But like avocados and like a little bit of iron oxide. So super beautiful, not mordanted, not pre-treated in any way. All natural, a little bit of an iron oxide after bath. This color, I think, came out after about 2 minutes. But again, check the blog post for the actual full details. So, just like with the onions, I also did 2 skeins, which I pre-mordanted with the aluminum sulfate. And the lesson here, it didn't happen with the onion skins. Maybe I need to get some pH testing strips because I know that pH plays a big factor in why and when this will happen. So maybe the onion skin bath was more acidic from the onions and the avocado bath was more basic. But the alum pre-treated skein, which this is it here, so this is alum pre-treatment into the avocado bath, which is almost but not quite exactly the same color as no alum treatment. So the color, I probably wouldn't alum treat again for the avocado. I liked it much better without. But if I did, I would also add in cream de tartare or tartaric acid. You see notes about when you're using the alum, it can be harsh on your fiber and leave your fiber crunchy. And I don't know if you can hear it, but you can definitely feel that this skein and my other alum treated skein here with avocado got crunchy, even though with onion skin it didn't get crunchy, it stayed nice and soft. With avocado it got crunchy. So the adding in of the cream de tartare, which is an acid which changes the pH, is supposed to protect your wool. Wool loves acid, that's why we use acid dyes on wool. It's supposed to protect your wool from getting crunchy and might also shift the color as well. So I might take this skein and the other skein and do an acid bath on them and see if I can recondition some of this crunchy out. I mean, it's not like straw or anything, but it's a bit crunchy, you know. I was kind of sad that when the skein dried, like you could tell while it was wet that it had gone a bit crunchy, and it dried and it stayed that way. So anyways, alum pre-treated avocado, and then again I came in and did the iron after bath. So pulled the skein out, added the quarter teaspoon rather of iron oxide into the bath, and it shifted it this way. And it didn't darken as much on this alum treated skein. Like certainly not nearly as dark as the no alum one did. There is the same amount of dye stuff in the bath, and I actually let this one sit for like 10-15 minutes and didn't see the color changing anymore, so I pulled it out. It's still a really lovely color. It's a bit washed out. I would describe it as, I don't know, it's not gray. Like it is a gray, but it's like a gray, like a concrete maybe. Maybe I would describe it as like a concrete color. Anyways, from avocados, again, I got, I would say 3 distinct shades. The 2 with no iron are fairly similar, and it's more pink without the alum, I would say. And less crunchy. Oh my gosh, can't make words. So from avocado, here are the 4 colors that I got. So that's really exciting. I'm doing all of this natural dyeing as part of my Master Spinners Level 1 through Olds College. Over the course of this year, I need to test 10 natural dye things, and indigo can't count as one of them because they all need to be alum/iron oxide as your mordants, and indigo is a whole different process. But, and you're not allowed to order dye stuffs from other places. It has to be things that you can find readily accessible, grocery store, or this summer I'm going to go hunting for natural dye stuffs here in Alberta. But if you have any recommendations for natural dye stuffs or ones that you would really like to see, please let me know in the description or comments below. Next up, I'm going to probably do tea leaves, because we drink a ton of it, and because tea is one of those things that everybody knows you can use to dye yarn, but it will be interesting to see if you can get 4 distinct shades from your dye bath using that combination of iron and or alum. Anyways, that's all for now. Hopefully you like this video. If you are interested in more yarny goodness, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time. Happy knitting!